Hey, what's going on, everyone? NoZoupForYou here. And we got a little Des Moines action today. And the reason that I decided to give you this Des Moines video was someone on Facebook asked the question to me. They said, hey, Zoop, I'm working down the USS cruiser line and getting close to Des Moines. Would you go with range or would you go with reload? And I know a lot of you out there are aware that range is definitely an option with the Des Moines. I mean, we think of the Des Moines as a very point-blank type of high-firing ship. And I love that usage for it. But, the range version of the Des Moines it's very viable. And you do see a fair amount of players using that. And I'm going to get into that here in a little bit, what I prefer and why, and what you give up. So I'll tell you here in a little bit what I told him. But first, you're watching this gameplay, and I'm doing what you do in a Des Moines sometimes, or at least on my build. I'm not going for range on mine, so I rely on terrain and use that to my advantage. And so I'll comment on this game a little bit, and you're seeing right now the start of something that I really didn't like. I was in a good rhythm for a little bit, racking up a little bit of damage. I had two very good targets. We captured A, and that's going to come to a stop right now for a while, and I'm going to be stationary, unable to do much. And the reason for that is our destroyer decided to smoke up, and that does me no good. We have no spotting at A for the most part with him like that. So destroyers, be cognizant of the ships around you. And I know if you're in a certain type of destroyer with high-firing guns, yeah, you probably want to smoke up and you want to get those guns going, but it does you no good if there's no other ships around that can spot. I certainly am not in a position where I can spot. I can't push up either. I've only got a North Carolina with me, and they've got 3 battleships and basically my counterpart, my Salem counterpart there. So I am virtually blind right now. I mean, I can't do anything except sit here like an idle schoolboy, to use the phrase from Hunt for Red October. So not much is happening right now, and I could be racking up damage, and finally something gets spotted right there, and there we go. But yes, I use reload on mine, and I enjoy using reload on mine, and I have always felt that's what the Des Moines excels at. So we are 5 years in, and I'm just going to come out right now and say it. Des Moines is still a great cruiser. I still think the Des Moines is probably one of the best cruisers in the game. I mean, I know there's a fair share of people out there that say that it's gotten power creeped, but I disagree. I don't believe it has whatsoever. I believe it is pretty much just as strong now in the hands of a capable player as it's always been. And I will argue with anyone that says otherwise. It's still a very strong ship. It's AP. It's got those super heavy shells. And there goes our destroyer right now. If you guys aren't advancing, I'm out of A. But thanks. We can't advance. We can't. There are 2 of us. Much more of them. Our North Carolina is low health, and you're seeing right here, I'm just saying, I just need you to spot. That's all I need. I just need spotting. There's plenty of targets over here. If I got spotting in the Des Moines, I can just use my rate of fire, light these ships on fire, and we're good to go. But, sometimes that's a lot to ask for. Not always do people like to spot. They like to cause damage. So our North Carolina is going to push in like the destroyer wanted, and things aren't going to work out that well for him. But no, 5 years in, Des Moines is still a great cruiser. Still one of my favorite ships. Still powerful. Both its HE and AP cause a lot of damage against battleships and cruisers alike. And it still has great fire setting capability. So, yes, I will fight anyone who says otherwise, but the Des Moines is still one of the best cruisers in the game. And I think it'll continue to be so. I love it how it is. I just absolutely love this ship. So, I'm getting advanced on now. But you know what? It's going to be alright. I've got teammates coming in from B moving to A. So, on to the big question. The big question being reload or range. And you know, you can do both. But I told the individual, and I said to him, you know, that I go for reload. If you're using legendary mod, though, you can definitely go for range. But there's a big caveat to that, and that's because in that module slot, you give up a lot to take that legendary module, and I'm actually using that right now. I love the legendary module. It gives you that speed, that extra ramp up power. You can throttle monkey and everything else. I mean, it's a great legendary module, that bonus to your acceleration and your rudder shift. But you do give up a lot using that. You give up the ability to use plotting room and get that extra range, which people do use. So that is one of the downsides. You also give up the ability to use the reload as well. So while you could have your ship down to 4.7, I'm at 5.5 right now because I elected to take the legendary module. But I feel that less than a second really doesn't hurt me in the long run. And this Salem is creeping out. I don't know what he was thinking right now. I was a little ahead of him right there, but he's still not turning in quick enough. So I'm going to make short work of him with these super heavies again. And there's 4 Citadels off the bat, and he's not going to be around long. So you just got to be cognizant, depending on how you want to use this ship. I prefer the legendary module because I think the bonuses far outweigh the cons to having it. That 0.7 second reload, I feel, is still not enough to persuade me not to take the legendary module and to take the reload instead. However, if you do decide to go with range and use this, just be aware that the only way you're going to get that extra range is going to be to give up your radar and use the spotting plane. And players do use that, but you're limited to, about 2-minute bursts of being able to fire out to 18 or 19 kilometers. And that will hurt you. So I would say, and what I said to the player was, if you're using the legendary module, I probably would not go for range. If you're using a legendary module, I would stick with trying to keep this as a ship that you use for close support, using that radar to your advantage. And I'm just kind of backing up right now because I've got ships pushing in, but the cavalry has arrived, and I'm going to be okay here. So my favorite usage for this ship will always be reload. That's just the way it is. But again, you've got the issue of the legendary module, which I have. So for those of you out there that don't have the legendary module, you do have a choice in either range or reload. So if you take the reload, you can get down to 4.7 kilometers, and I would definitely take your radar because you're going to be far more used to your team with that radar than you are with a spotting plane. If you decide to go with range, obviously you're going to want to take the plotting room so you get that extra range, and you're going to want the spotting aircraft so that you can get that even more extra little bit of range off of it. And I'm pushing in on this Odin. And you see right here, 8,000 damage rolls, even when slightly angled. Again, these super heavy guns, just really, really good. And he's going to be gone here soon, too. I was hoping to get the kill on him, but I just didn't. The wild card for the Des Moines is, once again, if you have that legendary module. If you have that legendary module, you have choices. Well, you're forced to make a choice. You're not going to have your range and you're not going to have your reload because they're in the same module. They share the same one. So basically your choice comes down to whether you take radar or you take the spotting aircraft. And if it were me, or if it is me, I'm going to take the reload. Because once again, I feel that this ship's strength is in its DPM and its ability to just cause raw damage up close to the enemy, either through HE or through AP. Both are equally viable. I mean, the Des Moines is a beast. It really is. And I guess for that matter, too, the Salem, because they are somewhat identical, though they do have a few differences. Salem's got that awesome heel to it. But we're talking about the Des Moines here because the Des Moines has a legendary module. So you've basically got 3 ways to play this ship. You can play this as straight reload if you don't have the legendary module. in which you get that reload down to 4.7, and though it's going to be shorter, you're going to be limited to about 15 or 16 kilometers. You just have raw damage output. Or you can play it as the distance ship. You know, you've got that 17 or 18 kilometer range with the plotting room, and even further out with the spotting plane. But just be it known, you're not going to be as helpful to your team up close because you're not going to have that radar. And that radar is really, in my opinion, what makes this ship so good. And then, of course, the third option is using the legendary module, which you can use to play a hybrid of both. You can be a hybrid reload ship, or if you take the spotting craft, you can be kind of a hybrid range ship, in which you can, of course, throttle monkey using your legendary module. You can stop quick, you can start up quick while using that spotting plane from a distance, and really just kind of keep the enemy that's firing at you guessing. But once again, that range isn't permanent because you're reliant on that spotting plane. So when using the legendary module out of those two, I would definitely take the radar and just use it as the traditional Des Moines. Use it as the up-close reload type of ship that she's really good for. And though you don't have sub 5 second reload, you've still got good radar. Or, excuse me, you've still got radar. Radar's on the mine. You've still got good reload at, what would I say, about 5.4 seconds. I think that's what it's pegged at. So took a little hit right there from that GK. Wasn't really paying attention to him because we've almost got this game wrapped up. Once again, you know, just a fun round only because I was in a situation that I didn't want to be in with those ships pushing in, but using the power of the Des Moines, I was able to hold down A despite losing that North Carolina until the cavalry arrived, and we're just gonna push across here and it's over. And you know, I hadn't played the Des Moines in a while. That question kind of sparked me to play it again. Top the leaderboard this round, though. It's not like it was a spectacular round. I wouldn't say this was one of my best Des Moines rounds by far. I mean, it was good, but I think our team just kind of cruised to victory so fast that we really didn't have a chance to do a lot more damage than we did, or accrue a lot more XP than we did. But still, fun to get back into the things and play Des Moines. So, got any other questions, just let me know. Want to know your thoughts on Des Moines as well. Thanks for watching. Zoop out.